Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session on one of the, I think, the first times that you're probably going to be depending on somebody else for your application other than us would be your recommenders. So this is a very interesting topic. And like always today, I'm going to show you a practical version of what's going to be there. All right. So by now you should be befriending our LMS portal, which is where we put all the information that we're going to show as well and so on. So let me just quickly share that with you. And we're just waiting for a couple moments. We know that some of you had exams, some of you are just coming back from college, some of you are eagerly awaiting the weekend. But trust me that I'm going to make the next 45 minutes as useful as it can be. I would request you all to please get a pen, paper, or even have like an open Google document, and we're going to have a lot of things to work together. Okay. All right. Excellent. So I would request everybody to go to lms.thecareerlabs.com. That is where you have your course. I'm going to be showing it in a second to you all and taking you through what is needed for it today. Okay, excellent. So let's get started. See, I'm not going to have too many things to talk about today in terms of the in terms of like a presentation kind of a thing, but I'm going to be doing a lot of things in terms of showing. All right. So if you all know, you would have access to this course called ACS TTM. And sometimes somebody was wondering like, hey, what is CTM? It's Technical and Techno Managerial Masters. Okay. We have a separate course for Masters in Management or anybody who wants to attend a business school. So they are all completely different. Okay. So when you go here, this is like going to be the most important part where you will keep on coming back multiple times. All right. So when you look at the application checklist, there are a lot of things that you will have to keep on, coming back to. We all kept it in a very easy way. We're also working on a couple things that can make this easy for you. Today, I would request you to please look at this LOR part over here. Okay, so when you look at the LOR part, you will see that there are so many things here. There's a guide for the applicant, there's a guide for the recommender, and there are two request forms. So today we're going to work on these two things. All right, but before we get into it, what I would highly recommend you to do is you can go and understand about the entire recommender process by the short version is here. So we talk about how to get the recommenders, how to approach recommenders, how to identify, etc. This is a short version where you have a smaller video, but we also have a longer version, which I would highly recommend for you to do, which is to go and obviously watch this, and where we have a longer version of identifying recommenders for the LOR. Okay. Today, what am I going to do? I'm going to give you the gist of what you can find in this long webinar, because we do a lot of things in this webinar. So this is like absolutely essential for you to look at. So you can do this. But today what we are going to do is we are going to actually work on the documents. And this is, as you know, is a workshop, right? Most of my live recordings are workshops, so that you will have another recording to go and watch and then utilize the time later. All right, so that's how we work on it. So where should you be right now? Please go to the important tools. And we already have everything already in place for you. And we're going to be looking at these 4 documents today. In fact, we'll also look a little bit about the essay questionnaire if we have time. But we're going to look at these 4 documents under the LOR guidelines. Okay, so grab that and keep yourself ready. I'm just going to give you like a quick snapshot on some of the things that, would be helpful for you at the moment. Okay. All right. So fine. So let's get started over here. See, the biggest problem about recommenders is not that we don't know the recommenders, but the biggest problem for majority of us would be about, like approaching them or understanding which one to go, how to choose the recommenders, etc., etc. So today, I'll just spend 10 minutes running you through a longer version of the topic and everything else. Okay. But I'm going to just quickly tell you a little bit of brief about the recommendation process and everything else. But I would highly request that you start working on the, just give me a second. Let me open my presentation for you. Okay. All right. So you should be able to see my screen when I switch between two of them at the moment. Yeah. See, every time we always focus on something which is helping us move towards the application bit by bit. Today we are looking at the letters of recommendation. I always make a joke that, hey, can you make a count of how many times I use the word recommendation? No, but anyway, jokes apart, this is a very crucial topic because of all the things in your own profile, as you might see, of everything else that's there. All right. This is a one piece which depends on somebody else and it has a lot of weightage, especially in today's world after AI. Okay. They are going to place a lot of emphasis on the words of somebody else. And I'll also tell you this, in India, we have this tradition that some of the professors will ask you to write. And I'll also tell you what we have done in order to make the lives of those recommenders easy. Okay. So with that, let's move ahead quickly. So I want you to realize that, there's a quick timeline for it. So guys, we're already in the process towards applications, as you all are aware. And you have a task every month starting from now in July, August, and September. In July, you're going to submit all the necessary documents to your recommender. Now who it is, I'm going to be telling you very shortly. And then in August, you're going to help them get the first draft and everything else and all, so that in September you can apply and so on. Now, this is an ideal timeline. What do you mean by an ideal timeline? This is what you want. However, what happens? We see that July becomes August, August becomes September, September becomes October, etc. So it's really up to you. It doesn't matter whatever is the timeline for you. See, hopefully you're going to submit it before the deadline 100%, right? But you have to understand that giving the recommender sufficient time for the letters is absolutely essential. All right. So without that, it is going to be a little difficult. Okay. So let me just stop share for a second, guys. And of course, come back once more. Yeah. All right. I think that's better. No? Sorry about that. Yes. Thanks. So you really want to be in a position to know that the recommendations are having some timeline associated with them. Now, does every professor need 3 months to write a recommendation letter? Absolutely not. That's not what we're saying. Okay. So just 1 second. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. And yeah, sorry, I hope you can hear me better now. All right. So it doesn't matter what is the timeline that you follow. The recommenders may not need all 3 months to work on it. But what we mean is being aware of who your recommenders are, making sure that you have sufficient information for them to talk about. For example, if you're working with a professor and he's going to be the research advisor for you, then you would want to utilize that. Okay. So it is not about the timeline, but if you do it in this manner, it becomes easy for you. That's all. All right. So don't think that I have to do only this in July or this in August, etc. But you have to follow these steps. And the more time you give the recommender, the easier it is for them. Because trust me, by November, December, everyone is really tired of the year so far and they get busy with so many things in life. And I've seen this every year. And I have like only one instance of my client like not getting in because of a recommender. I still remember the client after a long time now. Okay. So you have to keep this in mind that the recommenders are one of the crucial supporters of your candidacy. Choosing them the right manner and also guiding them to give you the best recommendation letter is in your best interest. And it's going to be obviously necessary for the getting the admits into the top programs. All right. So that is important. Now, letter of recommendation is to confirm that you are whom you claim to be. Suppose I say, oh, Kritika's this and Kritika's that and Kritika's this, etc. Now I can come and tell you, but if you look at a testimonial of my client, then you will feel that you have more confidence in me. The same way, recommendation letter is somebody giving you a testimonial of your capabilities, your strengths, and what you can bring to the table as a graduate student. Or very simply, somebody is going to say that, oh, you know what? This person is capable of being a graduate student. All right. So I'm not going to go into the details, okay, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the selection of recommenders because this is crucial for our workshop today. All right. So I want you guys to take a piece of paper, as I told you already, or please go to your Google Doc, write down 3 names whom you can approach as recommenders right now. Okay, quickly. Can you please do that? Write down 3 names of professors you can do. So I'll give you an example. See, who can you ask for recommendation letters? Think about it. Can I ask my family or friends or school teachers? No way. So definitely has to be somebody from college or later. All right. And who should it be? So somebody who taught you machine learning will be able to obviously talk about your strengths in machine learning, the way you approach machine learning, what you know about machine learning, etc. Right? So that is necessary. So the recommender has to be preferably from the field of study in which you're applying. It can also be somebody who has seen your abilities to use what you learned. Example, it can be an internship supervisor, right? So let's look at this selection of the recommender piece. So the first job is obviously I have to identify the recommenders. I hope you guys have written down the 3 names that came to your mind. When I say name of professor, write it like this, of course, you know the names, but other people may not know. So example would be like an ML professor or a chemistry professor or humanities professor, whatever is the name, right? Or this person taught digital marketing and that person taught whatever engineering management and so on and so forth, right? So write down 3 names that comes to your mind immediately and let's see whether you're having similar thoughts or not. So what happens is you have to really understand that the context of the relationship matters. Example, you had a professor in the 6th semester, okay, but then you also have a professor who has taught you for 3 semesters before. All right, now who will know you better? Obviously the person who has taught you for 3 semesters before, right? Because you would have taken more courses with that person. But let's assume that you took some random irrelevant courses with the person with who taught you 3 subjects, but you've taken the most relevant subject with the current one, then obviously you'll have to choose the current one. So the context of the relationship is with respect to the course that you're applying to. Example, if you're going for masters in, say, machine learning, you would want to get the recommendations from somebody who's related to probability statistics, design of algorithms, obviously a machine learning course, and some advanced machine learning or reinforcement learning or deep learning or whatever it is. So that is how you want to take, right? Now, obviously, there would be a professor with whom you've done database management systems also, and you might have done software engineering with another professor. While they can obviously talk about you, you might have got a 10 in those 2 subjects. When you're applying for machine learning, you want the person who has taught you relevant courses. Okay, so that is what we mean by context of relationship. Now, context of relationship can be courses, as I told you. It can be projects. So, which is what I've been asking you guys to do, which is to always have a research advisor or somebody, because then they can say, you know what, there was this machine learning project where we have to identify whether people are working or not. Okay, and using blah 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 of it, or the mouse click rate, or or even like if you could use a webcam and then see if the people's eyes are moving, blah blah blah, whatever it is, right? So let's say that you have a project like that and the professor worked with you and you got good results from it. So then they can say this guy knows Python, this guy knows TensorFlow, this guy was capable of doing it, and that person was able to do this, and so on. So the projects are very crucial because it shows demonstrated ability. And I keep on telling this to you multiple times, right? Then the most, I would say, prestigious one would be an internship. Now, why is internship prestigious? Because quite honestly, the faculty members are supposed to be helping you learn, and they will obviously say good things about their students. But somebody external coming in and saying that, oh yeah, this person is really good as well, and wonder if you can do some big project in an internship which has a real world application, which is done in real time, okay, and on problems which are real. Okay, see, what is the advantage of problems that are real is that you often have to use everything that you've learned in order to kind of work on the project. Example, so the same project I told you, okay, someone is doing like an eye tracking or whatever using machine learning to see if the employees are being productive or not. If I'm able to implement that project in, say, like a startup or say in a government organization, right? Then it would save so much money for the company. They would be able to identify who's performing, who's not performing, etc., etc. Right? That is what we mean by real world projects. But obviously, real world projects are going to happen in companies. It can also happen under a research internship and all that. Okay. And some of you might be working as well. I know that some of you are part of the workforce. So you might be a professional, working professional, and obviously you will have more practical experience. So you can obviously ask your boss, you can ask your team lead, and so on. So these are the ways in which master's students identify recommenders. If you ask for management, it's a lot different. Okay. So then what do? You first identify them. Have you guys written down your set of things? Would you guys want to quickly share it with me? You can just put it in the post and send it to me as well quickly. You can say, I'm going to take course instructor. Who is that? Course instructor is like, you can write it like this: course instructor for machine learning. Then I'm going to take internship supervisor. Then I will take see, I got like another professor with whom I'm doing project. So I'm professor with whom I'm doing ML project or something like that. So these are an ML project is nothing but my research project, or it is my undergraduate project, or he's going to be my undergraduate advisor, etc. So like that, you guys can write quickly and share it with me. So that is an example of I have put it in the chat, example of a recommender, right? Recommenders. Now obviously, let's say that your professor with machine learning project for whatever reason got angry with you. Now you should have a backup. So among all these things, what is more prestigious is definitely working on projects because it's for a longer duration, and it's more like imperative, like practical in nature, and internships as well, right? But the most relevant course also is needed. You definitely need a course instructor. When we say course instructor, we mean faculty who teaches you a course that is relevant. Okay, so the key word is relevant. We don't want basket weaving for machine learning and all that, right? It has to be relevant to what you're studying. If you're studying cosmetic science, then it has to be something relevant to that. If you're studying sports management, it will be relevant to that. Okay, if you want to go for engineering management, it has to be relevant to either engineering or management. Okay, so that is the keyword for you to think about. All right. So once you do this, please approach them. I already showed you like when you can try to approach them. And you tell them, boss, I mean, of course, you won't call them boss, but you say, dear professor, I'm going to be applying to Arizona State University, University of Arizona, University of Georgia, and Georgia Tech for masters in computer science with a focus on like AI or machine learning. Would you be willing to be a recommender for me? So that's what you're going to ask them. All right. And that will help you decide the number of recommendations. See, we say that please have 4 people ready. Okay. One guy or, sorry, one person would be a backup. And then the 3 people obviously will be the ones who will submit. Now, some professors will come and say, I will not write I will not send recommendation letters to more than 5 universities. Some people will say, I will not do it more than 3 universities. So in that case, you may need more, what you call it as recommenders lined up. So we say keep 4 recommenders as backup so that they can help you for recommendations for like 5 schools, because they have to log in and put in the detail and you have to upload and blah, blah, blah and all that. Okay, so that is something that's needed. Now, and then of course, you have to make your recommenders life easy. And that's exactly why we have the recommendation request form and everything else. And I'm going to share that with you right away. And that's the workshop starting. Okay. One thing is, please start early. The rest process earlier used to get us some random generic LOR, which used to be floating around on the internet. Now we have ChatGPT to spew the same nonsense. All right. So don't do that. It is just like, to be very honest, I started my journey of admissions consulting by helping a lot of people think about the recommendation letters, and it's a very painful, boring job, I'll tell you. Okay, how to make it interesting was my job. Okay, so we didn't make it interesting by being specific. So imagine this, like, go to LinkedIn and everyone says, oh, this person is great, that person is great, and this person is good, and that person is good, and all that. No, we don't want such glorifying random recommendation letters. We want something that is specific, which clearly shows how good you are. It also shows your ability to convince the recommender to work in your favor. Okay. And one more thing, for God's sake, don't write your own recommendation letters. All right, I'll show you an image which which shows how it is. Anyway, so these are the set of people who can be your recommenders. Now, can you guys quickly add anything in the chat for me? Just send it to me, like as a host. That is fine. Tell me, like, who are these people whom you're going to get the recommendation letter from quickly? Quickly, let's go. So who will you take? 100% some professor who would have taught you relevant course, major project guide, minor project guide, research project guide, internship project guide. Okay, because you could have done a research internship. All right, so research internship guide is typically a professor, right? So that can also be a professor. Obviously, an internship supervisor or manager or team lead or associate or whoever it is. Okay, this is for people who are in academia. I do work with people for PhD and all that. For those guys, these are all valid. And even for working professionals, a direct manager is valid. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. So some of you have said faculty advisor, minor project guide. What about your third person? Yeah. Are you guys having it? See, the whole point of these things are to be interactive. Otherwise it's very boring to keep talking. All right. Okay. So I hope that awesome. So like some of you are adding it, some of you are thinking about it. How many of you are having questions about who can your recommenders be? Do you have three people? Okay. Do you have four people in mind whom you can ask right now? Quickly, everybody. So obviously you can. Somebody would have taught you microbiology. You want to get in there, that's cool. Biochem, that's fine. Right? So think about this. It's not very tricky, but yeah, I really hope that you guys will can figure this out as well. Who cannot be your recommenders? Please keep this in mind. Please don't ask your friends or families. I'll tell you. I still remember one of the students had one of their parents as the HOD, and that was really awkward. So you don't want your family or friends or relatives or somebody. We don't want people from whom you have never done a project. Okay, write it. So example, I met this person in the doorway. That's why I'm like getting this one. No, don't do that. Okay, 100 times somebody will say, "Oh, my HOD has like lot of credentials. I'm going to like ask the HOD to do." Then I'll ask them, "What have you done with the HOD?" And they'll say, "I have done nothing." So then if you have not done any course or project or anything with them, why are you getting a recommendation letter? Are they recommending you to say that, oh, I've seen this guy in the hallway? Right? So you should have 100% worked with the recommender. If it's an internship, it's going to be at least a month. Okay. If it's what you call it as a course, it is 100% going to be like for 1 semester long. If it's projects, again, it'll be at least a semester long, if not more. Okay. So that is why it's important. Managers or supervisors with whom you've not worked. This happens with the working professionals also. They say, oh, I don't want to get it from my team lead because the team lead doesn't have too many years of experience or whatever. But my manager has done their masters from this very nice program and all that. Can I take it from my manager? Then I ask them like how much does the manager know about your work on a daily basis? So they'll say no. This person sits in US and doesn't know. All right, so this is very critical, huh? So do not always think about random people. Also, for God's sake, get people who are willing to give you the recommendation letters and put on the time that's needed. Okay, so we don't want some random people who are just not helping you. Okay. And I already told you the story, right? So one of my clients long time ago, she got rejected because of one of the recommenders saying that this person did everything at the long last moment. And I don't think that is showing well for her in grad school. I don't know why the professor wrote it, but the professor wrote it and it didn't go so well. How did we come to know about it was when the person had asked for feedback, right, to the school said that, hey, there was a problem with your recommendation letters. So that's how we came to know. Now every school will not give you feedback either about the application or about the recommenders, but this was a different school, and that's how we came to know. And then she changed the recommender and she was able to like get into some of the other programs of her choice. Okay. Folks, this is where you start getting professional. Set up an appointment with your professor, even though you might be seeing them in campus or in your office or whatever. Okay, set up an appointment. Approach them in person, and you can always tell them, I'm going for a master's and all that. After that, you can submit the email with the cover letter and your CV and the document that I'm going to ask you to work on today. All right, so that's what you'll have to do. And see, for God's sake, use the official email ID, not some random email ID. We've had this happen before. The school will not accept it if it's not from the recommender's email ID and letterhead. Now, there might be very minute circumstances where this changes. At the time, please come to us. We will tell you what to do. All right, and so on. So we say that give them all the information they need in order to make a case for you. What is the recommender doing is actually saying, you know this person is really nice and has done a lot of work, has got good analytical skills, has been able to do work on this project, and I think that is a good candidate for graduate school. Now how can they say that? Only when they have all information. Okay, to be very honest, I have worked with 250 employees, and I don't know what everyone did as a manager. All right. I of course know them and everything else, but if you somebody asked me for a recommendation letter, the first thing I ask them is, can you tell me about in what capacity you worked with me or you did studied with me, etc. All right. Forget about that. Even when I work with clients and the clients come later for certain things, I request them like, hey, can you please like say how I helped you or what I did, etc. and so on. Okay, so you have to remember that not everybody will know about your profile and everything else. So you have to give them sufficient information. See, this is like what we call as priming. And you guys are always being primed by various brands, right? See, for example, what is priming? If I want to make somebody more hungry, right? I show a picture of somebody eating and then I show the actual product that I want to sell, probably a food product. So similarly, you want to show them the right information that should be presented so that they can share that in the letter of recommendation letter. All right, that's pretty much it that I had. I'm going to go directly into the recommendation request form. All right, this is something that we developed because we realized that recommenders are, sorry. I don't know what's happening. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, see guys, like I want you to look at, there are like, many guides. Okay, let's go one by one. So the first is a guide for you as an applicant. So I'm going to click on it and it'll open in this beautiful file and you will see this beautiful, nice thing. And you will see a lot of things over here. It talks about everything about how to use it and everything that we discussed today, right? Now, it also has something called as a recommendation request form. And it also has something called as cover letter. Remember, I told you that you can write a cover letter. So I'm going to put this here and you guys are going to jot down the points very quickly. Okay. So one of you said that you're going to ask your faculty advisor for a recommendation letter. Excellent. So you will say, dear faculty member, like a faculty advisor, I want to request a regular recommendation for MS in aerospace engineering and for the fall 2025. So you'll say, dear professor, I took a course with you in propulsion systems and I also did this project of like design of an airfoil and I studied with you for like the fourth semester and the fifth semester. And then you will say, I now wish to apply to the master's program and here's the deadline and here is the program and this is the course of area and I'm going to be studying more about propulsion systems and other things and all that. Okay. So I would request you to please like give me a letter of recommendation. Okay. And I'm attaching a little bit of a document which shows my interaction with you and the other things that I've done. And I would request you to please help me apply to 5 schools. These are the name of the 5 schools. This is the date or deadline date. And this is the time by which I would like the recommendation letter from you. And I really thank you in advance. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so that is your cover letter. Now you can send the cover letter after you have spoken to your professor. All right, see, because I'll tell you one thing. After I've interacted with so many professors, they really are. Some of the professors demand that you approach it the right way and you show them the respect and everything that's needed. Okay, now also I'll tell you, professors are very busy people, so you want to make their life easy. Okay. Now, how can you make their life easy is with the recommendation request form. So here you write the recommender name and what is their current title, etc. Because this is what you will fill out in your application form. All right. And then you write down, this is a graduate university to which I'm applying. I want to go in for a master's in computer science, machine learning. Here's the deadline and here's the request for by which I want this recommendation from. Okay. So then what do? Then you say, Professor, I took a course with you in propulsion systems. I got a A. The average was B minus and I got an A. All right. So like that. Okay. Or the average was 7 and I got like a 9.4 that year, blah, 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 and so on. Okay. Then you can say, Professor, in that course, I learned about parallel computing. I learned about this one. I learned about that one. And in fact, I have done a seminar project. If you remember, I presented it in front of the class, blah blah blah, and all that. Or you can say that I worked on a paper, I worked on a patent, I worked on some other academic initiative. I worked on creating a presentation for this particular topic, that particular topic, etc., etc., and then you can add it. Okay. Now, if you have done a project or a research paper or something, you guys remember the CV? In the CV, you have a title and you have like what the team has done, what you have done, etc. So you can say like in the project under the design of an airfoil, I learned about MATLAB and Simulink. I learned about modeling, mathematical modeling of highly complex systems. I learned about the nonlinear control theory, blah blah blah, etc. So you can write about what you learned, how you learned it, etc. So you can say that, Professor, if you remember, we had a project and there was a problem that the Simulink in our college kind of expired or something, or the model didn't work out. At that time, I like worked on it and I brought in and used another function, and that is how I made it possible to work on and so on. All right. So suppose you have worked with a professor on a project, 100% that person would have given you feedback. So you can say that, hey, professor, when I worked with you, you had asked me to work more on using Google Sheets and using app scripts and all that. So I learned that, and that is how I automated the analysis of XYZ or something like that, and so on. So you can also talk about what you have done with the professor and so on and so forth. Okay, that's it. That's all is called as the recommendation request form. So it is nothing but a form where you fill in the details about yourself and what you've done with the recommender, and you make it easy for the recommender to write about you. Now, why is it easy for the person to write about you? Because the person will say, when Kritika had worked on this project with 3 other team members, one team member became sick And this person stepped in and learned a lot of statistic tools and then worked on it. I thought that was very impressive. So like that, the recommender can write. Okay. So is that clear, everybody? You guys are awfully quiet today. Can I get like a thumbs up or something? Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, there's some of you who are responding, others I don't know if you're here with me or not. See, one of the things my team were suggesting is like, don't record these conversations. That was another option that someone was telling us. Don't record the conversations so that it can drive more attention and all. But anyway, see, we're doing this for your benefit. All of these are already available on the portal and we talk about it multiple times. I already showed you, right? But anyway, coming back to some of the nicest things in life, we want, right, to go back to the next one. So now you saw the applicant guide. How about you looking at the recommender guide? So we have a guide for the recommender also. And we have a guide for the recommender typically, and which says what should do, how they should write it, etc. Now the guide for the recommender is something that is for them, and we like work with them in order to make it happen, right? So you now are seeing something for the management programs. We also have a guide for the recommender for the graduate programs, the rest of the graduate programs. It's kind of the same, not too much different, but we will share that with you shortly. Okay. So if somebody is working in a company, right, then the management program kind of like recommender will work for it. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. So I hope that you can like just do that. Now I'm going to ask you, I'm going to take you to the recommendation request form for the professional. When you do that, it like, there is a download that happens. I will open it and I'll show it to you right now. So academic, I already showed you. Academic is you either do a course or a project or something else with them. Now I'm going to quickly show you with the actual Word document which comes up. All right. It's very simple. Whether it is, how do I say it? Whether it is for, whether it's an internship supervisor or academic person or whatever, you're basically just trying to get what you've done with them. All right. The only thing that changes is like their designation. How long have you worked with them? Because it'll be lesser or more depending on people. I know that some of you are having this opportunity to have longer internships. So that is like nice thing that you can talk about. And then you will see that, okay, while I was in this internship, I was supposed to do ABC. And I did like, these are some of the things that I've done successfully. All right. So it can be like I completed a project on XYZ. I learned about this particular thing and so on and so forth. So like this, you might want to have a lot of these options already added here. Okay, that's all is different between the academic person and the professional person. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing complicated. Now you might ask that how do you guys work with the recommenders, right? Yeah, we do work with the recommenders. We can work with the recommenders. We have worked with over the past 3 years since 4 years since Career Labs and now Aspire Higher. So Career Lab started, right? We have been working with a lot of professors and we know a lot of professors in these different colleges. So we have literally taught them to how to write a recommendation letter really fast and not make you copy from various sources and all that. Okay, for God's sake, don't write your own recommendation letter. I will show you the funny image that I was trying to work the other day. It's a real funny image and typically it looks like this. So when you're trying to work on the recommendation letter yourself, it would feel as if you are, let me show you here. So, oops. 1 minute, I'm just showing you. Okay. So when you guys are trying to, okay, I hope this is what, all right, I hope you can see my screen right now. Yes, you can. All right, so when you guys are trying to like write your own recommendation letters, you look like this. Okay. You will be talking about yourself, okay, but that's not what we expect. The professors are people who will be looking at you with respect to the rest of your peers and all that. They have a different viewpoint about you. So just like how you cannot fit into your parents' clothes or something like that, you cannot fit into your professor's viewpoint. Okay? There are certain things that you will know as a 20-year-old. There are certain things that your professor will know at a much like an older age. All right. So don't think that, oh, you will write the recommendation letters and nobody knows and all that. Everybody knows that. All right. So that's why please don't waste your time working on such things. All right. You should be the person who is, definitely seeking the help of your recommender and submitting things to them and making sure that it's possible for them to work on. All right, so let's go back to some of the other aspects today. And I'm going to open the floor for questions so that you can see and you will know what to do, etc. I would highly, highly recommend you to watch our session, the session on the recommenders, because we have put in a lot of effort into building that recording for you. Okay, so go to this one and you will see sample letters that I have given. Okay, a lot of the time people say, oh, where is the sample? Like, and I will give you a sample, like, honestly, but the sample can not be used directly at all. So that's what you'll see. We'll show you what is required and what is needed, etc. So when you go into the recommenders here, you will get a lot of idea on terms of what all is needed, how is needed, etc. So I highly request you to please go watch this webinar. Today was more of a workshop. Okay, so what are we going to do in the next 5 minutes is I would request you to open the recommendation request form. So go download it. Where do you download? Very simple. Anything you want in life, you will have it in our tools. Important tools, like obviously. And you will be having it. Every document that we use and we want you to use are available here. So please quickly use that and then you can do. Okay. So I'm going to open the floor for questions about recommenders. What are your biggest concerns about the recommenders? Go ahead and ask me. Would love to give you. If you have no questions on this point, either you guys have understood everything or you guys did not like care about anything. So I hope that it is the first and not the second. All right. So if you don't have too many questions, I'm going to ask you the question myself, right? What is the biggest challenge? People don't know or don't have anything solid in their profiles. That's exactly why we keep on harping about profile building and the ability to take up more research experience and projects and work on things and all that. Okay. So keep in mind that suppose your professor with whom you've done a project is talking about it, it has much more value than you just attending a course with them. All right. So that's exactly why now is the time. Next 3 months is the time for you to build your profile and make sure that the recommender has enough things to talk about you. They can say, oh, this person learned the software, learned that, was able to solve this problem, used a different algorithm, used a different approach, brought in a different innovative perspective for it, whatever. All right. So you really need to be very inventive and understanding about what you need right now. Okay. Excellent. So I have a question here about, hey, I'm a working professional and I would like to request a recommendation letter from my manager. Is it necessary for recommender to use an appropriate structure with company details while writing a recommendation letter? Hey, thanks so much for the brilliant question. Absolutely, right? You do need the recommender to um, like use the letterhead. So in this case, they will use your official letterhead. Now, here's the challenge. Sometimes HR will say no, that person cannot use the letterhead and all. Okay, so in that case, you can still request the person to send based on the email ID, official email ID. All right, but it has to be official. All right. Now, structured, again, the structure and everything else, no, will be given in the recommender guide. All right. So we're going to put the right recommender guide here for you. Let me just show that for you. And that's a brilliant question that you asked. Thanks so much for it. So, and yeah, like so, even sometimes, no, one of the things that we have seen is, so let's say that you work with the professor and the professor left somewhere and went somewhere else. Okay. So, see, um, at that time, what happens is now this professor went somewhere else and now has some other title. We're working somewhere else. It's still okay to ask them. Yeah, an official email ID is enough. So if you're working for Deloitte, you can say Deloitte.com. If you're working for Intel, you'll see that. If you're working for Qualcomm, it can come for that. So the recommender, wherever they are working, it has to come from the official email ID. And then, okay, so here's another thing I wanted to share, which I told you is this the guide. So this is a guide for the technical program. We're just going to upload it. We have one for management programs. We have one for technical programs. Now you might ask, why are you having both in my technical courses? Because some of you guys will apply for engineering management. Okay, so at that time it's a little different. But some of you will be applying for technical programs, like which is most of you. Okay, so that is where you will have. So you saw my screen right now. So the technical program guide, no? So we tell them what is needed for the recommendation letter. We have guidelines for the recommenders. We talk to them. Suppose let's say that your recommender says, I'm not going to write the letter for you. What should you do? You will make the request form and then you will say, hey, can you meet with Kritika and her team? So then, yes, we like less than 15 minutes or 20 minutes, we will be able to help the recommender figure out what they have to write. Okay. And like tell you about what is needed, etc., etc. So that's our job. Okay. As I said, last year, no, we had how many recommenders we helped, Every one person has three recommenders, and we had a lot of clients last year, over 150 clients. Okay, so 150 into three. These, I mean, like we had more clients, but 150 were the people who actually applied. So 150 into three, how much is that? Right? So that is 450. So we worked with 450, like actually, like technically, not everybody came to us, but we worked in helping those many clients for the recommendation letters. All right, so that's what you'll have to keep in mind. And this is only for 1 year, and we've been doing this for like long, long, long time ago. I have literally seen around, thousands of letters like this. Okay. So we show them how to do it. We give them like things to do. We tell them about how to write itself and all that. So this technical guide is the one that you will be sharing with your technical person. Example, a professor in machine learning will get this one. Let's say that you're applying for what we call as engineering management, then I will give you the guide for management programs. Okay, is that clear? All right. Thanks so much for that wonderful question. All right. Let's move ahead quickly with something else, which is, again, let's go back to my favorite, the screen. And you will see that in the application checklist, there's something called as the essay questionnaire. Everybody, please start working on the essay questionnaire right now. We would have told this to you last week, last month, but this month onwards is extremely important. You guys have to get into the habit of writing, and your AI tools will not help you for this particular aspect of writing. I already showed you in another webinar on how to handle this, right? So I want you to work on this. Then we are also introducing to you, yeah, so that when you look at the essay questionnaire, it opens up like this, and it's a beautiful screen, and it has like, it downloads, of course, and you can also like work on it and so on. So it's a I want you to look at it. I've already discussed about it, and we give a lot of guidance towards it in the already existing recordings. So please go watch it. I can also show you where it is available. Okay. Now, 100% please note the timeline. So we have the timeline ready for you in case you're wondering. So we tell you by when you should be ready, by when you should be doing what, when should you start your essay, when should you finish your GRE, when should you do your recommendation letters, when should you work on schools, etc., etc. In fact, we have a day by day plan, we have a week by week plan, and a monthly plan, based on all these things. So if you look at this, right, we are already in which particular time now? So already like we are like in month of June. Okay. So June is gone. So by June, you should have finished the quarterly profile mentoring session with me, your profile building, your GRE prep and taking the GRE, etc., and all that. In July, you should have already started working on the worksheets, which I showed you, all the essay questionnaire, everything, right? Then you have August, September, October in order to like look at applying. Now, we have done the worst case situation of somebody who's going at the very last moment. If you guys ask me, the latest and the last deadlines are in December and January. Okay, so our services close by January 31st, 2025, except for those who are going for Germany. Everybody else, we shut down by January 31st, 2025. Yes, we help you with visa and other things and all that, but that happens later. All right. Officially, our application session closes by January 31st, 2025. So we have a day by day plan and a month by month plan and a week by week plan for what you're supposed to do. Why do we have all these things is because I hope that you'll use Independence Day very well. I hope that you will use Krishna Janmashtami and Ganesh Chaturthi also very well. I hope that you will know how to work during your Onam holidays and all that. Please trust me that the next 3 months are of immense importance to you in your master's journey. Okay, it's not like you can't do later, right? But the whole point of you guys coming to us is because you wanted to utilize the time availability, okay, and bring out the best possible application. So we have the holiday checklist already announced, and we have the application already announced and ready for you. Please go check it out. Okay. And last but not the least, I have done a bunch of webinars as well as a lot of videos in terms of how to research and shortlist. I will also be coming up with another webinar for you in July for shortlisting programs for those who have not done it. So that is also important. See, by now, you may not have 1,000 programs to which you want to apply, but you should definitely have one program to which you want to apply. All right. And that's about it. Like, it's a lot of things, how to get transcripts, how to work with a supervisor in Canada, how to use our tool, and then what are the steps for shortlisting, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that we keep putting. And we're going to be adding like a couple more nice looking worksheets and all that soon for you so that it makes the writing even better. Okay. So that's pretty much what I had for you today. What are some of the other questions or other things that are kind of making it difficult for you, Because I know that a lot of people said, you know what, Kritika, like all this is great, but I have not even done my GRE. I have not done my profile building, I have exams and doing other things. See, guys, like if you don't make time for masters, you will not be able to have a good time on the application. Okay, see, all that is required is 2 hours every week. We don't ask too many things. So 2 hours every week working towards the masters is like a very nice thing to do, along with all the other things that you're balancing. Okay, so in case you have any more trouble, see, one of the persons also asked, see, I have paid you so much money. But you're not like telling me everything. No, we of course tell you everything. We tell you everything that you need to know in the way that is easy to consume. See, for example, whenever this information dissemination has to happen, you want the information right in front of you. That's exactly why we have multiple ways to show the same for you. Example, we show you, like, suppose you're confused between MS and MIM and MEM and MSBA and all that, you have that. Suppose you're confused about going in for, I don't know, should I go for MEM? I don't know if I have to go for, let me show you. Yeah. So I don't know if I have to go to computer science or mechanical engineering or technological programs or MIM versus MS versus MEM, right? If you're confused about all these things, that's exactly why we have all these kind of webinars available. Okay, along with a very easy to access handout. Every time there's a handout and there's other things that are available for you to make it easy for your understanding. Okay, so you have to watch these things. And I understand you may not have a lot of time. That's why be like me, put it on 2x mode and then watch it if it's possible for you. All right. And or like go to the particular spot where you need to listen and then do that. Okay. And please note that we also had a LinkedIn workshop which talks about how to build a resume, also a LinkedIn profile. We will have that webinar in the month of August beginning only for the people who have completed CVs by then. Okay, so if you're not completed your CV, there's no point in you attending this LinkedIn workshop. Okay, so because that is a prerequisite. And then, of course, all the other things that are available for you to quickly help take decisions on where you have to go. All right. So with that, folks, I am very happy to be taking additional questions and anything else that you might be having for me at the moment. Okay. So what do you think is your, what did you learn today that helped you, or what did you not learn today, or what was a myth that got busted for you? You can just share that with us. You know, I like the sentence a lot. Nobody knows you better than you, right? Which is so true. Okay, so I want to leave you with this particular slide which says why you shouldn't use AI. And you know that I'm kind of passionate about AI use actually, because it's not like I'm against technology, but I'm for the right use of technology and for the right reasons. Okay, I'm the first person to choose any gadget or any tool or formula or whatever comes their way, because I am like also a lazy person. But that said, I don't want you guys to take the shortcut when it comes to essay writing or other things, because quite honestly, what we are doing is to help you learn the skill that will help you succeed in graduate school. So, which is writing. All right. So, we will discuss a lot about AI and other things and essays and everything else. But I would want to tell you about the GRE part of it. And I want to give you a little bit of update on the GRE part of it. Guys, like, see, we have been doing GRE for the past what? How many years? GRE started even before than admissions consulting for us. So from 2013 onwards, okay, and even before that. So 2013 onwards, 12 onwards, we have been doing GRE, okay, formally. And even before that, we had like couple companies and all that before. So please note that the GRE part is not easier, is the feedback that we've been getting from a lot of our own clients who've taken this. Okay, earlier I used to get a lot of 335, 332, 333, etc., 331 and all that. I used to see that a lot. Now, getting a 328 itself is like a little bit of hard things for a lot of people, because you only have so many questions in it. Okay, so I hope that you guys are able to see my screen. Yes, you are. That's great. So you will see that because you have like lesser questions, no? This is very important for you to understand. All right, don't think that it is easier or something. Oh, I don't have to study for it as long and all that. No, it's opposite. Earlier, you had more questions, therefore you had more room to make mistakes. Now you have less questions, therefore you have less room to make mistakes. And you should be like more accurate. Okay, so if you really want to hit the bigger numbers, you need to be more accurate with the answers and everything else. Okay, so compared to, see, GRE started on last year, the shorter GRE started last year. We have data for the past almost so many days, right? So you have to really, really make sure that this is happening. Okay, I have a question from somebody who says that I received information from a college that I will be receiving the LOR from their side by Jan, right? See, the college is not going to give the letter of recommendation, right? So you will be getting it from a professor. So you will actually be approaching professors. And I'm not actually honestly sure about the college's role here. I know that colleges are kind of like using the LOR as a tool to make sure that you guys are like doing what you said you did. Okay, if you said you want to go to placements, you're going for placements. If you say you want to go for masters, you're going for masters, right? That's what I would assume. But quite honestly, the college will not have anything to do about the LOR. Okay, so you should be talking to the professors and like checking with them. Okay, unless there's something else, like which I'm like I'll be very happy to discuss with you. Okay, no, most of the professors will be giving the recommendation letter. See, it depends on when you guys start, right? If you guys are as soon as September 15th or 7th opens, half the colleges or like all the colleges will release their applications. The very few colleges which are slow, right, will open by September 3rd week. All the applications will be open by September 3rd week. Okay, for US. For Canada, it's a little later in October. For Germany, it can be a little later and a lot later, depending on a few programs. Okay, so when do you have your recommenders? If you plan to apply by October, you need the recommendations by then. Okay, if you plan to apply by November, December, then you will need the recommendations by then. That's it. All right. So if your college is saying they won't give it or whatever, we can take it offline and see what are the ways of getting past that. Okay. Yeah, that's a like a, I mean, that's a weird thing I'm hearing about the college, but yeah, I'm sure that colleges are weird as well. Okay. So anyway, thanks so much, guys, for being such patient listeners. We have a lot of things coming your way, right? You have to get a transcript, which happens in the month of August, because you all would have finished your, some of you would have finished your sixth semester and got your transcripts by August. Some of you would have finished your seventh semester and got the transcripts by August. So it really depends on your college to which you belong. Applying for the transcript is like a process. You can find it on your website and you can check. An official transcript will look like it, a mark sheet will look like this. Okay, now this is just samples. Of course, they can call it differently and all that. But official transcript will contain all the courses that you've studied so far, along with the grades, and it also talk about the grading scale. How much is the pass and how much is this one and all that, and how it's being graded. Okay, a mark sheet is only for the particular semester in most of the times. Of course, you have something called as the consolidated mark sheet. But the consolidated mark sheet will not have a seal or the sign and what we call as the stamp of the official transcript. Okay, so this is something that you will be looking at in the month of August and September. And this is how we are right now. Okay, so we have a very clear plan right from the day that you joined. Now, some of you are behind on the milestones, some of you are ahead on some milestones. It's okay. You can draw your own path. Even though I tell you do this, I'm telling you based on what is an ideal scenario. Now, for some reason, if you have to like work on, you're not done your CV and you're going to move it, it's all fine. We are there to support you and all that. But please note that unless you do the right thing and you do the work, the SOP is not going to write by itself. Okay. All right, so thanks everybody for your time. We try to make these kind of webinars a lot useful to you, and we want it to be of value to you because these are workshops. The actual webinar exists elsewhere. So we would love to hear your feedback on what else would help you at this point of time. So I will stay back for one more minute, but those of you who want to leave now can leave, and thank you so much for your time. All the best for some of you who have exams, and until I see you next time, take care. All right. Okay, so if you have to change your GRE or IELTS, don't worry. Take it, as long as you're getting it done before the deadline, no, it's totally fine, right? But please make sure that there are other application elements also, right, in your profile that might be affected if you delay the test. Okay. So go ahead and apply whenever you're ready. That's not a problem. But you have to apply before January, because if the deadline is January, you have to apply before the deadline. So see how it affects when you move the test. See how it affects, other elements of the application. Right? Excellent. Thanks so much for your wonderful questions, everybody. And I will see you soon. Bye.